Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our 2:30 streaming show. I'm Jamie French. A couple of headlines to bring you this afternoon before we turn things over for a look at your forecast. We're going to start with a story that we are following in Hopkins County. Madisonville police say a woman identified as DeMontasia Thompson is now in jail after her child tested positive for fentanyl. Now, officers say that they responded to a medical emergency on Friday involving a 3-year-old child who was found to be sluggish and have shallow breathing. Now, officials say that the child was taken to the hospital and then later intubated and then had to be flown to a children's hospital. Police say they later discovered the child tested positive for fentanyl. They say the child is currently in critical condition. Now, police say the mother, Thompson, who you see here on your screen, told investigators that she was the only person with the child. Thompson was drug tested and she tested positive for fentanyl. She was booked into the Hopkins County Jail and is being charged with criminal abuse of a child. Another story that we are following today, Encompass Health Deaconess Rehabilitation Hospital is expanding and they're also consolidating its services. Now, hospital officials say they're adding 40 private patient beds to its main location. That's on Warwick Trail in Newburgh. Now, that does include consolidating 18 beds from its Midtown Evansville location. The hospital is also adding an additional therapy gym as well as expanding the kitchen, central supply, and pharmacy areas. Now, construction is expected to be completed sometime in November of 2026. We'll have more on that project tonight on 14 News. Here's a cool story, especially for any of you IU Hoosier fans out there. It's coming to life here in Evansville because Indiana football fans will now have the chance to see the national championship trophy up close and personal here in Evansville. So from 4 to 7 today, the trophy tour will be making a stop at the Old National Events Plaza here in Evansville. So if you're a big fan, you'll have the chance to get up close and personal, take some pictures with some of the most coveted trophies in college football. This does include the national championship, Big Ten championship, Rose Bowl, and Peach Bowl trophies. That event is free to attend. Now, this is something we've been covering. I know a lot of folks are pretty excited to see that up close and personal. So we've got all the details tonight on 14 News. And we'll also have our Gabe Pontonis there giving you a look at that as well. All right, that's going to wrap things up for your latest headlines, but do not go anywhere. Of course, it is very warm out there if you haven't noticed. So we'll bring you the latest in your 14 First Alert forecast with meteorologist Arden Gregory right after the break.
Good afternoon. I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory. This is a live look at the Evansville riverfront. A couple things I want to point out here. First of all, not getting a lot of sunshine. We've had a few peaks of sun today, but it's mostly cloudy. Look at the flags though. You can see them just kind of snapping in the breeze there. While it is mostly cloudy, it's also breezy. And what's important here is that wind direction. The wind is coming from the south, and so that is pulling warm air from the deep south up into the tri-state. So through the next 2 or 3 days here, it is going to be breezy, but we're also going to be talking about near record warmth. Now, there is going to be a bit of a cool down Thursday. That's because Thursday may be a little rainy at times. Scattered rain is likely, some thunderstorms possible. Then we've got one more really warm day on Friday before another round of rain comes in on Saturday, and that one will be followed by a pretty big cool down over the weekend. Here's a look at satellite and radar. All the white you see there, those are clouds. So like I said, there are a few peaks of sun out there, especially east as you get into Owensboro toward Tell City there, but it's mostly cloudy across the tri-state. However, it's also dry. Now, I can't rule out a stray shower popping up from one of these clouds, but overall, the next 2 or 3 days really look like they're going to be mostly dry. Those rain chances really start to pick up then on Thursday. Despite the clouds, though, it is warm out there. Our normal highs this time of year are in the upper 60s. We started the day already at 70. It was 70 degrees at sunrise this morning in Evansville, and then we have climbed into the upper 70s to low 80s since then. It was 80 degrees earlier when we got a bit of sun, then the clouds rolled back in. We fell a degree back to 79, but everybody's kind of hovering in the upper 70s to low 80s right now, and that is again thanks to this wind. So our winds are coming from the south-southwest at a pretty good clip. I mean, we're talking 10 to 20 miles an hour in most locations. And this is pulling warm air from the south up into the tri-state. And as long as our wind is coming from the south, we'll continue to have these warm temperatures throughout the rest of this week. So today, I do still think we'll climb another degree or two this afternoon, probably topping out somewhere in those lower 80s thanks to that warm breeze. But again, sunshine will be very limited. Don't be shocked if you get a brief shower, but we'll probably stay dry. Overnight tonight, partly cloudy. We still have that southerly breeze, so our temperatures are only going to drop back into the mid to upper 60s. Keep in mind, our normal highs this time of year are around 68. That's about where our low is going to be tonight. So this is much warmer than you should expect for this time of year. But we are already seeing such a warm spring. The 80s are starting to feel normal to us. We had several days in the 80s in March. We've had several days in the 80s already here through this first few days of April. Moving into tomorrow, this is where I think we could have a record in danger. Tomorrow will be partly cloudy still, but I do think we'll have a little more sunshine than what we've seen today. That plus a continuation of these warm southerly winds is going to push our temperatures into the mid to maybe even upper 80s tomorrow afternoon. And you have to keep in mind the record tomorrow is 86. In fact, our record today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, all three set in different years, but all sitting at 86. So tomorrow, the record is 86. I'm going with a forecast of 87. I think it's very possible we will tie or even break that record that was set in 2010. Wednesday, we're going to be close. Again, the record is 86. I'm going with a forecast of 85, and we're going to be within a couple degrees of the record again on Friday. Friday's record is 88, but I do think we'll get into at least the mid 80s, maybe the upper 80s. We're still a few days away. Those temperatures could trend a little higher. We'll just have to wait and see. But the point is, this entire week is going to be much warmer than you would expect for this time of year. Our average highs are in the upper 60s and our average lows are in the mid 40s. So across the board, we're running 15, 20 degrees warmer than normal for our highs and our lows through essentially the rest of this week. Then we do have a cool down as we get into the weekend, and that's due to a cold front. So let's talk rain chances here for a minute. I wouldn't rule out a stray shower today or tomorrow, but we'll most likely stay dry. Similar story then on Wednesday as well. Maybe a shower, but probably staying dry through the next 2 or 3 days here. By Wednesday, though, notice this low pressure system and cold front coming in from the west. As that pushes toward the tri-state, it is going to send rain our way. It could maybe start Thursday morning, but it's looking like most of the rain will probably be from about lunchtime into Thursday afternoon and evening. So this cold front comes our way, pushes rain our direction, mainly from about the middle of the day Thursday through the afternoon and evening. Scattered showers are likely. Thunderstorms are certainly possible. As of right now, though, our severe weather threat seems pretty low, so we've held off on any kind of alert day so far. What's interesting is this cold front is not actually going to pass through the tri-state. It's just going to kind of skirt along the northern edge here, then lift off to the northeast and out away from the tri-state. So because that cold front never moves through, our wind direction doesn't change. So rain on Thursday will cool us down for a bit, but as soon as it quits raining, we warm right back up. So Friday, again, we've got this warm air coming in from the south, maybe a stray shower, but again, probably dry. So Friday is going to be a lot like Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Very warm, maybe a stray shower, but mostly the emphasis will be on the temperatures. Notice though, we've got another cold front coming in from the northwest. That one's going to move through the tri-state on Saturday. Again, rain is likely, maybe some thunderstorms. Severe weather chances seem pretty low right now though. That cold front will actually pass through the tri-state. So that one comes with a change in our wind direction. Cooler, drier air starts to come in from the northwest. And that's where we see this drop in our temperatures then, with highs in the 60s to start next week. So if you need to mow your grass, here's what you need to consider. Today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, all very warm. But other than that, perfectly fine weather to mow the grass. Thursday, it does look like we have a chance of rain for most of the day. So I would probably not plan to mow your grass on Thursday, but any day before that, you should be just fine. And Friday should be okay too, looking a little farther ahead. Something to keep in mind though, if you are someone who struggles with seasonal allergies, you may want to take some over-the-counter allergy medicine before you get out and mow that grass, because the pollen count is very high, not just today, but through the rest of this week. I'm hoping if we get some good soaking rainfall on Thursday, that'll help wash the pollen out of the air and off of the cars and things a little bit and bring that pollen count down just a little bit on Friday. But it's been so warm and so dry that pollen count is just going to remain very high. As for our temperatures so far this month, I mentioned the 80s are starting to feel normal. Typically this time of year, we'd see a lot of highs in the 60s. This map should be mainly this bright green color. We did have a brief lull here, a little dip in our temperatures early last week, but most of this month so far, we've seen temperatures in the 70s and 80s. We also have not seen much in the way of rain. We had that one kind of rainy Saturday back on the 4th. Other than that, this month has been mainly dry. So no surprise, we are running short on rainfall. April is typically a month where you see more rain. April showers bring May flowers, right? That's a saying for a reason. April is often associated with rain. That has not been the case so far this month. And really, it's been dry for much of this year. So we are running short on rainfall, not just this month, but so far on the year as a whole. The average temperature this month, though, nearly 9 degrees warmer than average, just because we have had so many days with highs in the 70s and 80s. And also consider our lows, even at night. So many nights only getting down into the 60s, or like last night, only the low 70s. That really affects that average temperature as well. So with all this warm, dry weather, it should be no surprise that abnormally dry conditions have set in across much of the tri-state. Some folks in Illinois and Kentucky are even starting to get into drought, and the far southern part of the tri-state, parts of Hopkins, McLean, Ohio, and Muhlenberg counties are even into severe drought now. So there is a real concern there that things are getting dry enough to start to really have some impact. Looking beyond this, so I showed you how warm it's going to be through the rest of this week. The cold front bringing us rain Saturday, then cooling us off kind of back to normal there with highs in the 60s and lows in the 40s to start next week. But it seems like that cool down may not last very long. The extended outlook from Tuesday, April 21st through the rest of next week does show a trend back toward slightly above average temperatures, but also a trend toward above average precipitation. And I want to take a closer look at the hazards outlook. This map can get kind of messy because we're plotting many different things. They are outlooked for a rapid onset drought across parts of the South, so concerning for them there. Here at home, though, we've got two different things that are mapped over us here. The first would be this light green shade. That's a very slight risk, but still the possibility for some heavy precipitation from Wednesday, April 22nd through Friday, April 24th. So we're talking about second half of next week now. This is a long way off. It's Monday, right? Monday the 13th. So we're looking at something that's a week and a half away at this point, but there is this potential that we're watching for the possibility for some heavy precipitation. The other thing you saw plotted on this map was the potential for some high winds, and that is during that same time frame. So it's way too early to talk about any kind of details, exactly what this would look like, or whether or not this will even actually come together. But just something kind of off in the distance that we're keeping an eye on is second half of next week, we may have another weather system coming in at some point Wednesday to Friday, don't know exactly when. that could potentially bring us another round of rain, maybe thunderstorms and some gusty winds. So that would be the next thing we're watching as we get into next week. So for this week, breezy and very warm the next couple of days. Don't be shocked if you catch a stray shower, but we'll probably stay dry until Thursday. Thursday, scattered rain, maybe some thunderstorms, but as of right now, our severe weather threat seems very low, so we've held off on any kind of alert day. Another warm day on Friday, highs up into the mid, maybe even upper 80s in some locations. Then a cold front comes through Saturday. Again, rain is likely, thunderstorms possible, mainly during the second half of the day, I think. Probably into the afternoon and evening is when that rain seems most likely. But it's Monday and we're talking about something happening on Saturday. So that could still have some wiggle room either way. But as of right now, it looks like probably Saturday afternoon and evening. Rain seems like a good bet, maybe some thunderstorms, but again, our severe weather threat seems low. That will usher in a cool down then with highs in the 60s as we start next week. But as we get into the middle of next week, it seems like we'll warm back up, and maybe sometime during the second half of next week, we could see another chance of rain and thunderstorms. Good afternoon, Jeanette and Cheyenne. Always appreciate you guys tuning in and commenting. We do keep an eye on the comments in the Facebook video, so if you do have any questions when we're doing one of these, please drop it in the comment section of the Facebook Live video, and we try and answer those as we go along, but there haven't been any questions today, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I hope that answered everyone's questions and everyone has a clear picture here of what we can expect for the week ahead. Certainly a short and t-shirt kind of weather here, as we are going to be near record or maybe even record highs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. All 3 days we're going to be within a degree or two of tying or breaking the record high temperature. So these temperatures are not normal for April, even though they're starting to feel that way with how warm this spring has been. All right, if there are any changes or updates, if we decide to add an alert day on Thursday or Saturday, we will push that out to the 14 First Alert app. So if you don't already have that, download it and set those alerts so that you will get that notification if there are any changes to the forecast. Chief Meteorologist Jeff Lyons will have another look at your forecast on 14 News tonight at 4, 5, 6, and 10, and he'll do another one of these streaming shows tonight at 9. So if you do have any questions about the forecast, tune back in at 9 and he'll answer those for you then. Everybody have a great rest of your Monday.